without them anyhow then. And just to let you know, as a reminder, like everything, like we will start from basics. So if you already have a bit of touch designer use in your background, there's a lot of things that I will say that you might just know. So yeah, at the beginning it might be a bit boring for you if you already used touch designer. And also just to remind you that I'm doing everything on my free time and that it's all donation based because I really want to make this tool accessible for everyone and go out of this elitist aspect of new media arts and digital art that is sometimes like quite present from on in my experience, and that it's always like white men doing things for white men and using this using softwares that are in fact not so hard to use, and Touch Designer is one of them, and there's a lot of mystification around it, but in fact it's not that hard if you're having an artistic vision behind it. This is what matters the most, you know. And also I met the developers of Touch Designer, and I know that they really have this willing and this purpose behind it. Like for sure they're making money, but their first goal wasn't to make money. It was to create a tool that some cool people could use and make cool stuff with it. Because as all of us, they are just firstly they are nerds before to be businessmen and so on. So yeah, we can start directly with does everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I will start by a bit of Touch Designer history. So here, this is a project that I've made just for courses. So you here, there's different softwares that are either alternative to Touch Designer or maybe ancestor to it. Here, there's Pure Data, that is a software created in the 90s, and it's doing somehow the same that than Touch Designer, but it's way more complicated because Touch Designer is really having this node based system that gives all the code that runs behind in a visual system, so it's better to understand. It's way easier. And Pure Data is like the same, but everything works with shortcuts, so you have to remind everything by heart. It's old, it's dirty, and yeah, it's somehow the ancestor of Touch Designer. When I learned it, my teachers were using Pure Data, for example, but yeah, nowadays I'm not sure if it's really worth to go to. I will give you this project, and for each one you're having a link for every software that I'm talking about, because sometimes there's a lot more behind it just what than just what I'm say what just what I'm saying. And yeah, so this is Pure Data. Let's say that it's the ancestor of Touch Designer. Nowadays it's maybe not worth it to go to. There is Super Collider that maybe some of you already know. It's having a super ugly interface as well, and it's really good for sound. It's having like I call this chapter Touch Designer versus, and yeah, this is a lot of just people that speaks about Touch Designer versus other software. So like I just digged on the web and different forums to have, even just for myself, a better understanding of why am I using Touch Designer and not another software. And Super Collider is really good for sound. It's having a really insane strong sonic synthesis, like it's having wavetable inside and so on, that Touch Designer isn't having. But yeah, the interface is really ugly and it's really hard to get into it, and it's really made for music more than like 3D and so on that Touch Designer can do. You can make it interactive quite easily, but for example, yeah, as I say, you cannot make a proper 3D inside of it. Like every software, you can somehow hack it to make whatever you want, but it's not the purpose of it, and then you will just sweat more than anything else if you would just have choose another software. There's MaxMSP that maybe some of you knows because it can work as a standalone, like it can work alone, but it can also works with Ableton, and it's pretty nice because then everything get linked, like MaxMSP is directly can be contained directly inside of an Ableton project, so it's really nice to make to explore Ableton, but through the interactive aspect. It's pretty good, and it's having the same visual system, the same nodal system with a bit of writing and so on. And yeah, there's this one. It's in French, but you can just activate the translation, and it's speaking about why people are using Max and not Touch Designer. It's pretty interesting. There is this one that is somehow compared to a web version of Touch Designer, and the person that makes it is a girl based on Berlin, so that's pretty nice. And it's literally like working just on a web interface, and then you just have like it works the same than with just codes. And the advantage of it is that sometimes you want to run Touch Designer on a machine that is not super powerful, and this thing called Hydra is able to run to make it exactly the same than Touch Designer, but it's running on WebGL, so it means that it's not running on the capacity of your machine directly. So here, for example, I can change something over here, then it's doing a bit of the rotation, then the brightness, I can input it to 1, and so on and so on. So it's just like a web version of Touch. Wow, we're not seeing anything anymore. But yeah, you get the idea. Like it's good, but you have to know how code really works, and it's good if you want to put it to make it run on a weak machine. And the last one that is called VVVV. It's maybe the software that is the closest to Touch Designer. It's doing. I've never used it, but it's somehow doing the same, and it's a bit more expensive if you want to work with the professional version. Like I think the license is 2000 or something if you want to. There's the free version, of course, but the professional version, the commercial one, is more than 2000 or something, and Touch Designer is 600, so it's quite of a big difference. There is a big community behind all of those software. The one of Pure Data is pretty old. The one of Hydra is still quite active. The one of MXP and Super Collider are cool, but the one of VVV and Touch Designer are pretty strong. But the one of VVV is smaller just because as Touch Designer is more known, there's more people that would work professionally with it, and now we've reached the point in which sometimes people would ask for someone that is able to do, I don't know, an interactive installation, but not just that, on Touch Designer specifically, and not on VVV, for example. So it's kind of a choice that you have to consciously make about which software that you will start to work with, because sometimes people will search for specific software users, and I've never heard about anyone looking for VVV developers, but I've heard for people looking for Touch Designer teachers or developers or users or whatever. So I don't even know about the community of VVV, but yeah, I guess that it's a good one as well. Tak, do you got any question at the moment?
Thank you for
Huh?
about it. And I used like V4 in
Mm-hmm.
my, like something like 10 years ago. So probably like it's nothing
Mm-hmm.
compared to what it is now.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
my only Node program like knowledge that I had before is that
Mm-hmm.
V4, and
Mm-hmm.
it's very like high professional, like people using it. So as you say, like also the license is very expensive. So
Mm-hmm.
most probably like that's why you don't see many like people looking for it because there's like it's a niche, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, it's a bit of the snake biting its own tail because the less there's people that would use it professionally, the less people would like to start with it and make tutorials and give resources about it. So then it's getting less accessible, and as it's getting less accessible, less people will search for someone that is V4 users, and then this is how like communities can slowly die, for example. And yeah, I honestly never met any V4 users, maybe, but I didn't even know that they were. So yeah, it seems to be like more niche than touch designer. um, yeah. Okay. So the designer is a software that is, as you see, based on Node. Everything runs in Python, but you can implement different language in it. You can work with C++, GLSL, WebGL, and so on and so on. It's just a matter of how you do input it in it. And there is different as you see, there is different boxes here that are called nodes, and they are in different families. Each family is dedicated to something specific, and as it's a software, it's a software that is pretty versatile and able to do a lot of people are using it in different ways. So here, there's few people that I ever met or ever have as a model. So here there's Dreambait that is using Touch Designer mainly for Beijing, and he's from United States, and it's pretty. He was one of my internship mentor for an art residency that I've made, and yeah, he's pretty good. He's really crazy with what he's doing, and yeah, for example, he made like this whole mapping in a church in real time running on Touch Designer, for example. He made those like every January there's this challenge for people to create generative tool, and he's every time he's taking part of it in it, and he creating a lot of crazy systems on Touch Designer. There's Maidova, that is a friend of mine in which we were in the same class in school. She's mostly using Touch Designer with particle system and dancing, and she's using a lot like webcams, Kinect, and so on. And yeah, it's just for you to see the versatility of um, of Touch Designer. So here, this is a project that we've made together. There is Gemji that I've met pretty recently. He's working in theater and he's doing immersive shows. And yeah, same. He's somehow a beast. Sign in to confirm. No, I'm not a bot. But yeah, he's also pretty strong. Like he's the first touch designer user that I've met that was working in like big institutions like huge theater, choreographic centers, and so on. And yeah, he's using Touch Designer and Unity, for example. So here, those two ones, let's say, are working with particle. Particles are this dusty kind of style. There's this Berlin-based artist that was my first internship mentor on Berlin. They're using a lot of calligraphy in their own work, and they're doing a lot of 360-degree projection in Dome, and they are part of MUTEC. That is a big festival, digital art festival in it takes place in different countries in the world, but the main one is in Montreal, and the other one is in Mexico. Uh, and there's other 3D artists that are also pretty strong, and I don't know them personally for the next one, but for me their work are just mind blowing, and they're really doing an insane work, and they're all from states except this one that is from it's a duo from Russia, and they created nice tools on Touch Designer. I've never used it, but they're pretty good, and since I started, I follow them, and every time I look at their work, it's pretty mind blowing work. Sometimes they're giving show on Berlin, and they give a bit of their own tools available, like they sell it, but it's still something that you can work with. And there is this guy that is pretty important, because um, he will open a space in Berlin dedicated to Touch Designer only, like to Touch Designer users. And I started tutorials with this guy, and he learns me a lot of things. For those who worked with Blender, it's a bit of the equivalent of the the Donut Guru, the Blender Guru. Let's say that this guy is the one with a lot of persons started Touch Designer. And I don't know if he's from Berlin, but he's based on Berlin, and yeah, he will open a space dedicated to Touch Designer users on Berlin. It will open in September, so it's pretty cool. And the resources that I will give to you, there's a lot that are coming from this guy. And there is this black magic guy that is doing yeah, he's doing a pretty insane work, but he's working with what we call GLSL. So it's somehow, I don't know how I could explain it to you, but let's say that it's another language that you can work in Touch Designer. And yeah, the work of this guy is just visually mind blowing. Like, he's just working on another level, but he's not working with nodes only. He's really like coding a lot of stuff, and just for you to see that it's possible to come from another background, like from a coding background, and use those knowledges within Touch Designer, for example. Yup. Do you got questions? No?
No.
Okay. I will close this project and open a new one. Yup. So yeah, we'll start to work with basically how to treat informations, how to navigate within Touch Designer. So every time you're opening Touch Designer, you're having those examples from the developers. We don't want to work with that, so you can delete every of that. Yeah, to select multiple nodes at once, you have to just click and maintain shift at once. Then you're having this square to select different nodes, and then you can just press delete. There is this page over here that we might use later, but at the moment we won't use it. And to open and add new nodes, it's either you do a double click in the void, or you press tab. And the nodes that we will work with today are called the chops. And the chops are really made to manage audio, and to manage like raw numbers information within Touch Designer. So here, if we quickly look around, there's a big audio section, but there's many other stuff as well. There's Kinect here that we will see in the third course, for example. There's the mice in, mice out. There's different stuff happening over here. And what we will start with is to create a constant. So a constant in the universe of Touch Designer is just a number that is static, like it's just a number that you can choose. Here we can choose like 10, for example, and behind it you will learn the logic of how to treat informations. For example, if you're having a flow of informations coming from a sensors or a microphone, we will see how you could treat those data and make it usable. For example, here I've selected 10. Let's say that our flow of information is constantly on 10. For example, how we can manipulate it is to play with math. And here what a math is doing, a math shop is doing, is, as its name is saying, it's really applying mathematic operations to it. So for example, if I copy and paste my constant and then I put this one on 1 and I put it inside, here you see that all constant and every node is like composed by a box, but also a channel inside of it. And here I have put, as I've put two constant within one math, I'm having two channels. And here in the math, I can take the choice to combine those channels. Here on the different pages, there are different mathematical operations that are available, so you can combine chops. And then here I just pressed on add, and then I'm just doing an addition of those two values. All right. So imagine that, for example, I don't know, let's say that you're having the left side of your microphone and the right side, and you want to merge it. Mathematics could be a way to merge it all together. For example, there's different values that we can work with. Again, there's different parameters that we could work. We will see still the math inside. There's different operation that you can do. You can apply subtraction, you can apply multiplication. So here, if I take this one and then I press 3, I will have 30 because it's a multiplication, and so on and so on. So it's just for you to understand that within Touch Designer, you would have a bit of math to do, and this node will be your best friend to make it. Let's already work. We will use an audio flow to start to work. So here in Touch Designer, there's a certain logic behind that is, every time there's the word device in or device out within the name of a node. For example, here device in means that I will put external hardware directly to my computer. Device out would mean that I would stream something to external hardware. For example, here it could be a microphone, it can be also a Sonic card, it could also be, I don't know, another machine that is compatible with Touch Designer. And for audio device out, it could be speakers, another Sonic interface, or even a software. And there's the same logic for file in. Every time there's a chop or a node called having file in inside of its name, it means that you're taking a file outside of Touch Designer directly in. And every time there's file out, it means that you're recording a file out of Touch Designer. So for example, you get the movie file out here to record a movie out of Touch Designer. But concerning the device in, there's also video device in to put to use webcams, for example. If I put this one, oh, OBS is on, so I cannot work with this one. But yeah, so here we will just create an audio file in, and here we see that we're already having a file, and we're already having sound. The bad side of Touch Designer is mainly coming from that for even the simple, the easiest thing, you have to build it yourself. Here I've just created an audio file in. By default there's an audio file inside, but I don't hear anything. Why? Because this audio file in is not connected to any device out, and I would need to route it directly to the speaker of my computer. So how I do that? I will create an audio device out here, and now you're supposed to normally start to hear music. Here there's different parameters that you can play with the pan, the volume itself as well. I will reduce this one. And here, if for example you would like to work with, I don't know, a track that you like, or if you're working on a project that would require to work on a specific track, you can press on this plus over here, and then you could choose somewhere in your laptop the audio track that you would like. Is there any question at the moment?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Huh?
I'm trying to do the same thing that you're doing. And when I put like the audio device, like the
Audio device out.
out, you probably change something to make the arrow appearing or like anything,
Oh, this one.
right?
Yeah, there's this shortcut, you just press on B, but it's to avoid, like as I'm speaking now, I don't want this to play, so I just press on B, and B means bypass, but it's a short key, but there's also this small arrow here that you can press as well if you want to bypass something. And it just means that instead of deleting every time something that you don't want, you can just like put it on off, and the bypass would be the way to do.
Okay. So like in the background, like the music is going, right?
Yeah, but it's
It's
just that,
just the fact that like you're bypassing it, so you can still like node it to other things and change it, but you don't hear it.
yeah, exactly. Because like, I don't know, sometimes I don't want to listen to the music that I'm truly working on if I don't need to truly listen to it, you know. And even now, as I'm speaking to you, I don't want to have this music running in the background. So this is why I just bypassed it.
Great, thank you.
So here we will attach another node called analyze after this audio file in, and here we see that we are having two channels, and it's somehow corresponding to what's happening over here in the audio track, right? But it's acting a bit weirdly. Like sometimes we're having minus informations, sometimes like it's acting a bit weirdly, and we don't want that. We want to have maybe a smoother information and maybe only positive numbers, because some, like many systems only work with positive numbers, and here it's definitely not the case. So what we can do is to add a math after. So you just click here, hold it, and then you press tab, and then you can type directly the node that you want to fetch. So here I will type math, and here in the operations over there, we'll choose, for example, if I don't want to have the left and right because the two channels are corresponding to the left and the right, I can, as we've made here, I can combine those jobs to make it an add. Oh no, it's on the channel post. Yeah, combine channel. I will make it an add. And then there's this channel pre-op. It means channel pre-operation, and we will put it on positive. And same for this one. And now, as you see, there's a difference. We're only having positive numbers, right? Like we've been from here. We can see that sometimes I'm having negative number, sometimes positive number. If I put the channel post op to positive, and this one also to positive, I will have only positive value, and this is what I truly want. Okay. Now I would like to have values closer to 1 because it's a lot of 0.00, like here 4046, here 0.05 and so on. So what I could do in my math is to just operate a basic multiplication. So here, as I want to delete one of these 0 to be closer to 1, I can just multiply it by 10. And now it's already better. But yeah, now it's already better. But the informations are like jumping too fast. They're a bit too glitchy, for example. So I will create what we call a lag. And what the lag is doing is, as you see here, it's somehow smoothing informations over the time. Like there's a difference between those two ones, and to make it more visible for you, it's you're not forced to do so, but there's this super practical nodes called trail, and it allows you to, let's say that it's somehow a data visualizator. So here we see the difference between my lag, that is the yellow channel, and the non-lagged, the mathematical operation, that is the red one. We see that there is a difference here. This one is more picky, more edgy, and this one is a bit smoother. I can even make it smoother with those parameters that are the lagged value over here. Like it's smoothing values over time, so it means that it would how can I explain that? Like over the time, it will take 0.2 seconds to jump from a value to another one, let's say, to say it easily. But I can increase this parameter here for you to have a better seeing. I can, let's say that I will put it to 1. It's a bit extreme, but it's just for you to see the difference between the mathematical and the lag version. Here we see that we're having the same values, but this one are just smoother, and they're not like jumping, they're not jumping too far and not having too many peaks. And depending on what you want to treat as information, but this is some, like, it can be useful for you depending on what you're working on. We can delete the trail for the moment, and now we are having information that are already usable somehow. It's smooth, it's between 0 and 1, and I can have a bit of hand of it due to my lag and also my math operation. So what I will do now is to make those informations visible, and will just use another nodes, but not from this family. This family, as I say, is really dedicated to sound and data inside of Touch Designer, like numbers. And this one is dedicated, we will see it in the next course, more like deeper, but here we'll just select circle, and here we just created a circle over there, and the goal would be to link maybe the position or maybe the size of the circle to those values. So how do I do that? Firstly, I will create a null after it, and you will understand sooner or later the importance of really naming your your nodes in a clean way. It's for those that already worked a bit with coding and so on. It's really like naming is pretty important. As Touch Designer is running in Python behind, let's say that it's the same logic behind. You have to name things pretty precisely, and it's always better to not leave it with those default names. So here my null is just a node to, let's say, and a channel. I This example will not here will not give you the importance of a null, but every time you're treating informations like this, like you're having a chain, you have to end with a null at the very end. So here, for example, let's say that I want to control the radius of my circles here. I will name this one radius circle here. And then by default, a circle is having is 0.4 by 0.4. You can press on the plus here, and then you see the name, the Python name of those parameters. For the moment, it doesn't matter so much, but just to let you know that everything that we're doing at the moment is also doable with code in Python directly with another type of nodes that we will see maybe at the end of the last course. But yeah, just for you to know that everything that we're doing is also doable with code. So here we have the parameters that we want to make control the radius of the circle. So here we click on our null, and we click just over here on the little plus, and then we see that the border of our node is changing. And then once we are on it, we are having this small arrow. If we maintain and that we go out, we start to move, we're having another arrow, a white arrow that is pointing to the right. And you will have to go to the node that you want to control, and then to drop it to the parameter that you want to control. So here I show it again. You press on this small plus here, and then you click, drag, and drop to the parameter that you want. And here you just click on chop reference, and then yeah, we start to have our circle that is controllable by this parameter. But it's only on the x. Let's say let's make both of those parameters. Maybe to make it more relevant, I will use audio device in, and this one is connected directly to my voice. Yup, I will remove this one. Same for those two ones. Yup. And now the circle is now connected to my voice, but I will need to apply a bit of treatment to have better information. You're not first to do that, but I've just noticed that for giving courses, it's better to work with the audio device in, and I can even multiply it more. Yeah. Okay, so here the circle is actually reacting to my voice. Maybe 1,000 is a bit too much. Yeah. Yeah, perfect. So here we are having to sum it up, we are having the audio device in that is taking the audio coming from the microphone of my laptop. It's going through an analyze to as it's saying, to analyze those values. Then we're having a math to re-put those super low values in a usable form to make it positive only, and to multiply it to be closer to 1. And then we're having a lag here to smooth the values and avoid having glitchy and picky values. Okay? Do we get question at the moment? No?
No, but can you repeat, like, so analyze is taking like the number from the audio in, then math is reducing it to like adding or multiplying, depends, like makes like better values, and then lag.
Lag is smoothing it over the time to avoid having picky values. Like if I use the trail over here to see to properly see how my values are reacting, The yellow ones are the lagged values, and the red one are the non-treated lagged values. So
Yeah.
here you see that you're having a lot of jumping instead of here, like when you watch to this peak, for example, here in the lag it's smoother. Like you see that it's not jumping and having this sawtooth aspect. Here it's really smooth and so on.
You-
Is it more clear like this?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is. And visual also. So perfect. Thank you.
No problem. Just wait. I will have to do soon. Um, okay, I was just checking that. Okay, so here you tac. And then yeah, we're having a control with the audio input on the circle. Have you done the modulation like this with just dragging and dropping? Hmm? Are you all with this step of circle?
Almost.
Mm-hmm.
It's the device in that I still have a music because I didn't have time to change it. But
Oh, no, because the audio now, yeah, you can still work with the audio file in. I just work with the audio device in to make it more coherent with what's like for you to see what's happening. Here, so I will just here on Touch Designer. There's different stuff in the interface on top here. Here you can see that here we are having the number of our FPS, for example, and there's different split screen here. And the way that I usually work is to split my screen by three. Here, if I click on this box, I'm having three different screens, and I can already take something out of the circle and type out, and then it's just a way to have my video coming out and getting on only one screen over here. So here, if I click on pan type on this screen, on the small arrow, I will go on panel, and now I'm having my circle in the whole screen. So this is basically the view that I'm mainly working with, to have my visual on the side, and I have two. This view is called the network editor, and yeah, to have like two network editor at once and just being able to navigate more easily in my project, and sometimes just having the parameters on the right, and yeah, you can make appear the parameters with the touch P, the keyboard key P, and yeah, um, so here, once you see, this is when you see that Touch Designer is running in Python behind. Here, what you see over there is saying. Here we see that we're having this blue expression that is correct, that is on our parameters that we just controlled. So here up is saying operator, and radius circle is just the name of our null over here, and chan1 is just declaring the channel. And this is where it's when it gets tricky with naming. If, for example, I'm not happy, I will just, I don't know, rename it sphere instead of circle. Now I'm having an error. Why? Because it's acting the same than if you're working with a hard drive, and that's your, I don't know, uh, renaming a file or unplugging your hard drive. Your laptop will try to reach a path that is maybe not existing anymore. So here, this is why it's important to really name your null in a way that is making sense for you and that you would remain easily, okay? So here,
Can you please can you go to the beginning of the network for a second?
yeah,
Um, for some reason, okay, it's the analyze.
mhm.
Okay. All good, thank you.
Yeah, analyze is turning, let's say, curves like this into numbers.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, you're only having curves and you cannot turn it into numbers somehow, or it's acting pretty weirdly. So analyze is like a way to just turn it into usable numbers.
Okay.
Uh,
And
yeah.
okay, no, okay. Everything is working, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so we'll also quickly see the different audio chops in InterDesigner. There's we've seen device in, device out, but there's also the audio dynamic that is somehow acting like a compressor. For those who don't know what's a compressor, let's say that it's playing with the volume and the dynamics of an audio flow. For example, it would take your weakest signal to make it stronger and your strongest signal to make it weaker, and then maybe having it maybe being more cohesive. We're having the audio oscillator that is also acting like an oscillator. If you put it here and then connect it to an audio device out, watch out to your ears because it can be a bit brutal. Yeah, it's just doing, it's just acting as an oscillator, and then so it's just for you to see that the designer is able to generate sound, but it's not primarily made for that. Like you can do it, you can arrive, and some people are doing pretty crazy stuff in terms of sound, but it's not made for that. If we come back our to our lessons, to the past project, I spoke about Super Collider that is really made for that, made for doing proper music. There's also Ableton and Maximus P, for example. So you can do music in Designer, but it's not made for that. And you will sweat a lot to have a result that is satisfying for you instead of just using another software. And this is a bit of the trap of Touch Designer. It's not because Touch Designer can do everything that you have to do everything in Touch Designer. For example, if you're doing I don't know, VGing, you can make it in Touch Designer, but there is also Resolume, that is a software that is primarily made for that and that is more optimized. If you're doing it in Touch Designer as me, you will spend a lot of time to just optimize and create pre-existing parameters that will already exist in Resolume, for example. There's also other stuff. You can load VSTs that are compatible with Ableton, for example. There's the
Yeah.
EQ here, the bend EQ, para EQ.
What
Uh,
is a VST? What does it mean?
a VST is like a plugin. It's just another name for it. So, for example, an example would be that maybe you don't want to work with the reverb by default in Ableton. You would like to have another reverb or maybe a virtual instrument. So a VST would be a plugin that you would download and that you would add on top of the software. So it's somehow a way to maybe personalize and customize your software. In Touch Designer, like here it's only audio VST. Like you have other way to customize your own Touch Designer, but it's mostly used for audio. For example, I don't know, some people there's virtual instruments that you can only have under VST form, and this is the way that you would that you would do it, for example. Um, Here we have yeah, we have the constant that we've seen together. There is some nodes that we won't see because it's useless to teach now because it's way too early. But some nodes you can guess just by their name what they're doing. For example, the delay will just apply a delay on incoming values. Here I'm having a delay in seconds, so I'm having 1 second of delay from here to here. And yeah, there's a bunch of nodes that you can just guess what they're doing by their name, okay? Uh, a node that is pretty useful is the LFO. What's an LFO? So an LFO, let's say that if we come back a bit to where it really comes from, it comes from sound because LFO means low frequency oscillator. So let's say that if I take an audio oscillator, let's say that let's say that they are the same, just the LFO is running slower, and they were invented to mimic human behaviors on the first synthesizer. For example, instead of tweaking a parameter by hand by doing this kind of stuff by hand, I know that I always wanted to move like this instead of making it with my own hand. I would create something that would make it automatic, and this is where LFOs come from. So here we will take our LFO and we will do the same that we've done previously. We will place a null. And we will call it, as we want to move the center, we will call it center circle here, and then I will press the small arrow here and then place it here. And then you see that what's happening here is controlling the movement of our circle. Maybe like every time you're working with a visual object, you have to understand that minus .05 will correspond to the edges, to the left edges of the screen, 0.5 to this one. So here I maybe want my value to be contained between minus 0.5 and 0.5. So here, how can I do that? Maybe you have a clue.
You add in math.
Exactly. Here I can add a math. There is also another way that would be to add a limit. The limit, as its name, would limit my values to a certain range. So here, when I create my limit, I can go to type. Like here, the limit is not doing anything, but I can go to clamp, and then this is my minimum and my maximum. I will type minus 0.5 and 0.5. But here, as you see, it's not like it's blocking, but there's still something happening after it gets blocked. Like originally, there's still something happening after it gets blocked to 0.5. So the way to do would be more a math than a limit, but it's just for you to show that there is this node called limit that also exists. So here, I add my math, and then as I'm going from 1 to minus 1, I will just divide it by 2, so I will multiply it by 0.5, and now we're going from 0.5 to 0.5. Okay, and here we can, for example, what we can do here, this is another node that you would like to use depending on if you're running an artistic installation or even if you're performing. Let's say that I want something to happen every time my value here is reaching 0.5 and not when it's when it's outside of 0.5, when it's lower than 0.5. So there's different way to do that, and we will see a few of them. The most traditional way would be to use a trigger here. So how a trigger is acting, there's different parameters here. The trigger would act depending, it will be triggered depending on the incoming values, but also on the threshold of the trigger and all those parameters. So here, every time my incoming values are reaching 0, my trigger is getting triggered. So I want it to get triggered at only 0.5. So here I would put 0.5. And here we're not reaching 0.5 properly. We're maybe reaching 47. And here, yeah, we see that now we're getting triggered. Maybe 0.8 to see. Yeah, we're still getting triggered. Maybe 0.9. Yeah, we're still getting triggered. And here I want maybe the value of the trigger getting lower fastly. So here there's different phase. The trigger contains different parameters. There's the attack. It's how fast the values goes from 0 to 1. And here it's this parameter. So if I put it to 0, you see that there is not transition from 0 to 1. It's like, and if I put it to 0.5, it will go from 0 to 1 in half of a second. Now it's like really slower. And you can also control how slow/fast it's coming back from 1 to 0. And it goes, it's on this page, the sustain page. And here, for example, I can put half of a second. Now it's like way slower. I can put 0 here, and now it's, yeah, getting slow, getting fast again. And yeah, you will have to play with all those parameters, okay? Do you have questions at the moment?
The trigger is really interesting. I think it will. Yeah, I think I will need to feel it to really understand because didn't fully catch it, but
So like the trigger is a way to plan different events. For example, here, let's say that I will apply it to my audio here. So here, let's say that I will speak a bit louder. So we see that I'm reaching 0.7 approximately when I'm speaking loud. So I want something to happen in my interactive installation every time I'm reaching this level, this 0.7. And the way to do it will be with a trigger. So here, if I put 0.7, the trigger will only deliver a 1 value every time I'm now speaking louder, like okay, maybe it's 0.7, it's too high, maybe 0.6. What's happening? My voice is weak again. Okay, we'll lower it to 5. What the fuck? Okay,
ah,
I will lower it to 3. Okay, you see, so let's say that it will be a way for you to plan different events pretty easily. So for example, here, I would say that every time I'm reaching this level of 0.3, I will like increase it to 0.4. Here you get in your circle. The designer is working obviously in RGB format. So here it's RGB, and it's not working from 0 to 255 like in Photoshop and so on. It's working on 0 to 1. So if everything is on 1, we're having full spectrum, so white. If everything is on 0, we're having black. So here I will do the same to control this parameter with my trigger. I will place a null and I will call it color circle, and then I press the plus of here, and then I will drop it directly inside of my circle here, and then every time I will reach 0, 4, my circle will turn white, and then I get a hand on how fast it gets white or how fast it gets black. For example, I can place this parameter of attack. Here you see that we're having a small transition from 0 to 1, right? And now that I've put my attack length to 0, it will go directly from 0 to 1. Okay, yeah. So you see here I can place it to have the transition again, and yeah, is it more clear?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And the sustain is like the lag of it, like same as the
No,
lag.
no, the sustain, it's like when you're having, it's more, it's easier to understand when you're doing, when you're doing music, but I can show it to you easily with a trail. Consider the trail as a super good friend to learn Util Designer. So here, the sustain is this part of the curve. Like this is the attack here. Wait, I always yeah. The sustain is this part, so it means that for half of a second I will stay on 1, and then the release is this part. Attack, normally, like, we call it ADSR envelope for attack, decay, that is here, sustain, and release. Here it's like attack and sustain. So the attack is the first phase, the sustain is how long you stay on the targeted value, and then the decay is how you do go down like this, and then the release is if you stay on 0 or not. Here I've placed it on 0, but if I would have placed my release on 0.5, my trigger would stay on 0.5 eternally. Not eternally, but will stay a bit on 0.5.
It's working better when you're talking and not when you you see that. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect. Thank you.
yeah. Instead of when I'm trying to to control
No
it.
effort. No effort needed.
Yeah. Is it more clear about the sustain?
Yeah, definitely.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's the same for the decay as well. So this way would be a way to control an event, for example. So here I just place it. Once you start to have different nodes coming like this, and it starts to be a bit of a spaghetti, it's always nice to take a bit of time to rearrange your network. And there's different stuff that you can do. If you press C, you have the color over there that appears, and you can, for example, here, I don't know, like this one is controlling the color, so I can give it a color as well. Let's say that I choose blue. On a small network, it doesn't really matter, because like everything is visible pretty easily. But once you're working with like a way bigger system, if for example I copy and paste this one, imagine, and sometimes it can happen that you're working with system like this, maybe like now things are getting tricky to understand what's going on. So it's now good to, for example, give a color to certain node, and to have a proper name for each of those. Okay, so I will go back, and well, yeah, and so there's the C to make color appears and to give colors, and there's also this other node. If you go to the operator creator and you go to the comp, there is the annotate over here. In the latest version, normally if you do if you do Shift to C, oh, okay, I thought that it wasn't able in my version. So here you can drop comments. For example, here I can, I don't know, if I'm working with someone and that I will give this project to someone, I can say, hello, I hope that you had a good night. And yeah, it's just a way to jog informations in your project, for example.
What did you press?
It's shift, no, yeah, shift and C. And then you're having a post-it that appears. But there's also in the comp creator, there's also like that's only to give to leave comments, but it's not related to any nodes. If you want to group your nodes and to leave comments towards this group, you will create an annotate in the comp family. So here, and then you would, for example, like those one are only about the position of my circle, and now that they are inside of this annotation, I will name it circle pause. Now that they are inside, if I click on my annotate, I don't have to select all of them. Everything that is contained inside of it would move as well. So it's just a better way to work. And then you can also give a color to the annotation, and you can give it a title. If I open the parameter page, you can decide about the size of the title. And if I double click on the title here, I access to its text, but I can also click here, and now I can give comments based on this notation. So there's the difference between the post-it comment, that is just a comment isolated from everything, and the annotation to give comments but maybe related to a group of nodes that you would have created yourself. Is it clear?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So here I would say, for example, when I call it the on fire sessions. So it's really like you're developing, I don't know, maybe a visual system or whatever. You're just like creating stuff, you're not naming them properly and so on. And after an hour, you would have an outcome in which you would be happy with. And then it's time to clean everything. So by cleaning, I mean placing annotation, and then maybe reminding to the future version of myself. So hey, this one is controlling the position. And then the future version of myself would just open the project, and instead of trying to understand, the future version of myself will thank the past version of myself for creating and tidying my network and leaving those comments, for example. Okay. And now to go back to how do I trigger or create an event depending on incoming values. We've seen the triggered, for example, but there's many way to do it. For example, I can also create a logic, and the logic would work. You will understand pretty easily what's going on inside. So if I link my logic here, I would color them in blue for this example, like every node that I would do to trigger an event. I would even create an annotation for that for you. Annotate. I would call it event managers. No. Event managers. And I will give it a blue color. Yes. So the logic here, when you open it, there is different. It's not having a lot of parameters, but it's pretty strong because, for example, you can here you are having like all the you're having all of what it's capable of. For example, you can have on when value change. So here it's constantly on one because my value are always changing. But if I would lock my value with a limit, for example, to loop, we will put it to 0.9. Yep, I've made an error. Oh, yeah. Now that my value aren't changing anymore because I've blocked it to 0.9 with a limit, here you see that as we are on only when value change, we're not on, we are on 0 now. But there's also the opposite. There's where is it already? Is it the off? Yeah, there is oh no, this logic is not having the off when value change. But what interests us and this for this example is that I want to act the same than a trigger, like to be triggered only when I reach 0.4. So here I know that basically my informations are are going from 0 to 1. So here I go to the mode off when outside of bounds, and then we're having the bounds that appear here. So basically if I would I want it to be triggered on 0.4 and that it's off when outside of the bounds, it means that I have to say that the bounds are from 0.4 to 1, and then it will get triggered only when I reach 0.4 because it will be outside of the bounds. Is it clear or not?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Tac. And so it's also another way to get trigger stuff, but then you're not having the attack sustain and so on. So it's like if you just want to pulse out some 0 and 1, let's go for logic. If you want to have more expressivity, if you want to have more expressivity, let's go for the trigger version. Maybe you would work with logic at the beginning, and then maybe a bit of expressivity could be good. So I can add a lag after it, and then I will have smoother information, for example. Another way to do it, it's not a way to get triggered only on a certain value, but based on this logic, we can place a counter. And now let's say that it's still in the event manager, but like the counter as it's named will just count every time it's receiving a 1, and it's sharing some parameters with the trigger, some common parameters with the trigger. So here there's like when are you getting triggered, like how your trigger your inside trigger get triggered. Like here it's once I reach I go above 0 I get triggered, but here maybe I want 0.4, let's say. Maybe I don't want to be triggered like every time. Like if, for example, in less than a second, I go above 0.4 2 times. I don't want it to count at as 1. Maybe I want to put what we call a re-trigger delay. It's to wait a bit to get re-triggered. So here I would say like half a second. And now you see that I'm running endlessly because there's the trigger parameter of the counter, but there's also for sure the count parameters for the counter. So here we will define, usually I just, I mean it depends on your need, but I would work with the loop min and max. So it means that every time I'm reaching 10, so here just for the example, every time I would reach 10, I would reach 5 because it's my maximum. I will go back to 0. Please, come on, Ali.
And
Uh, just wait.
for what are we using that?
Huh?
So it's also like a way to trigger, like when it comes to a 5, like how do you use the count?
The count will count every time you would have, like in this case it's every time the logic is pulsing 1, it will just count it, for example. So, but there's the trigger parameter that is the same parameters than for the trigger, and just maybe you don't want to your counter, like here we've placed it after a logic, you know, but if we would have placed it after the lag directly with the by default parameter, let's see what happens, and that I would just place it back to 0. Yeah, nothing happened because it needs a more pulsing a pulsing signal. But here, if we would have put no, not on when value change. I will create quickly a signal that is faster. So I place limit, place no, I will, yeah, let's do it with an LFO. Limit round 0.25 logic, and here I put this one on when value change, and here, for example, you see that I'm having a super fast signal, and here for example, the red trigger delay is made to avoid getting triggered too fastly. For example, here it will be, you can get re-triggered again, but you have to at least leave 0.5 second in between each triggered. Is it more clear?
Yes.
Okay.
And I feel like, so at the end of the day, like to use just like the trigger chop is the best.
Not necessarily, because maybe you don't want to have the expressivity of the attack, decay, sustain and release. Most of the time, for example, let's say that I would love to have let's copy and paste this circle, and I would make I would place a level here. Level, and then I would put a diff. We don't have, like, we will see in the second course the top families, but you don't have to take care of the purple chop. So here I just change a bit the signal, and same for here. Wait. It's because we're both black. Just for you to have a quick demonstration. So here, maybe I just want this circle to like pop out every time my voice reach a certain point. So here I will take my logic, and oh yeah, this one is yeah. I will take my level here, and I will put a null after, and in the post, yeah, here I just want, maybe I'm into glitching aesthetic, you know, so I don't want transition between between the moment this one is appearing and disappearing, and the trigger by default is having an attack, a decay, a sustain, and a release. So it really depends on your case of use. Like here, maybe I want to have smoother transition, so maybe I would use a trigger. But if I want smoother transition here, I can also just place a lag in between, and then we're having smoother transition between both of it. Is it more clear?
Yeah. Okay, definitely. More
Yeah, like
clear.
I used to work a lot with triggered, uh, but yeah, for me it's really when you want to have expressivity and the organic aspect of it, but sometimes it's really not needed. And also, it's better to work, uh, like let's say that our first example here about why we wanted to be closer to one, because even with sensors and whatever stream of information, it's way easier to work with informations closer from 0 and 1 than information that are maybe, I don't know, around -10 or 1,000 or 140 or whatever. So if you apply this rule to our small system, it's better to work with information that is oscillating between 0 and 1, and then shape it myself instead of having something that is already having pre-existing parameters, and like now stopping to 0.5 and coming from 0 to 1 in a half of a second, and so on and so on and so on. It's like always better to have the choice to shape stuff by yourself than working with stuff that are already shaped by somebody else or by another software or by other external factors, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Noted.
I will just fetch some minty and I let you experiment if you want to. And then for the last 20-25 minutes, I can, like, I'm used to either jam at the end of my course and then leave a moment for question, or just to leave it as an open moment to exchange, to respond to your question. It can be on this course or on Touch Designer on general, or even if you're curious about me, or if you just want to say hi, whatever. Okay,
Okay.
I come back in 5 minutes.
Okay.
So you're a bit of a pro. I understood now. Like I was in silence because for sure, I'm still pretty new to everything. So
Yeah, it's a lot.
it's a lot. Mostly some things like, okay, I understand that there's like the difference between trigger, interesting, and the
Yeah.
logic and the counter. It's a headache.
Yeah, definitely. But I think it will be super worth it.
Yeah, it is, because this is the part that like you truly don't know how to like learn by tutorials and things. It's like truly like, okay, what is exactly the trigger? What's the difference and stuff? It
Yeah.
is cool. So you already like work with like Touch Designer a bit, right?
A little bit, yeah, but it's still a lot. Like,
Yeah.
I already, like, I met him this morning, Quantum, and yeah, because I have an installation. I already created like a project, but I need to optimize it because it's not really smooth at the moment. So yeah, I'm here to learn it and understand, and also slowly.
You also have a audio input, or because you
Yeah,
said you
like
were
yeah, like
using
I have a connection between Touch Designer to Ableton.
Okay.
It's not exactly like audio input. It's more like triggering from inside Touch Designer to Ableton.
Yeah, that's very important for like visuals, of course.
Yeah.
Because you want like it to really go like smoothly to like the next like nice.
Okay,
So
wait,
you're working in Berlin?
Again?
Are you working like for like DJs and things?
No, I'm really in my first steps. So like the things that I'm doing now, it's going to be installation just for a festival, like a really small festival. And just like in general, like I really love this program and I want to like understand more. Like hopefully I like it's something that I would love to work in actually, yes. But still not yet. You?
No, actually, like I work with like different medias, and like technology has always been like my way to go. But when it comes to like nodes or like softwares that are very like, very complicated, like I maybe prefer like just a screen like with code, instead of like I'm 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 confused about like the whole connections.
Mhm.
Uh, but the potential, that's what calls me, because you
Yeah,
can really
definitely.
do so many things with it.
Exactly. There's such a big potential that like it's shame not to learn it. Really.
Yeah, and it takes time. It's something like patience, and
Definitely.
playing around more and more. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I think that's how you do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
For now, like I'm also planning like on a small like artwork. So I'm thinking even like next step would be like to make it interactive and have like microphones and things. For now, I think just like composing something and then like put it in
Yeah.
and see what it does to like visual, like some like photographs and stuff. Um, but for sure, like just the aspect of like putting sensor to it or any kind of like other thing is like pretty like impressive and like exciting, because then you can have like true interactive.
Definitely. It's like bringing like real life into digital world and opposite.
Like like
I'm going to
futuristic part
I'm
of like.
going to pee just really fast and I will be back.
Okay,
Just a second.
back, Quentin.
Yeah, yeah. I've just put some water to boil. Yeah, yeah.
For a tea or for a egg, for
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what is it?
For minced tea. Yeah, for minced tea.
Anyways, like thank you very much for like showing all this, and also for explaining a bit the differences between like the different ways to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
No wonders.
there are some things that like for me like I really like struggle with. That is like, for example, like now that like we put like the second um like trigger and things. If I
Mm-hmm.
try to lead one trigger, it actually like blocks like the whole thing. So
Uh,
sometimes like I encounter like these problems that I'm not able to like cancel things because I don't know exactly
uh,
how.
can you share your screen? I can see your project.
But I didn't follow it all. I just
Oh,
like did a little bit and then like
yeah. I mean, no problem. Like
but
no judgment and so on. It's just like for me to have a better understanding of what could be the problem.
so wait, share my screen. I also have it like I have two screens at the moment, so
Mm-hmm.
let me
Yeah, it's always tricky.
the applications entire screen, device. It's chart like it's ongoing, but it's not truly doing anything. Um,
On what level of the trigger do you have a problem?
but it's not like okay. So I had like when we changed the radius, right?
Yeah.
Then we did like the whole thing with like the trigger,
Uh-huh.
like the center,
Uh-huh.
and then we added a trigger. So
Uh-huh.
in the moment that like I like the center like circle like perfect, and then I added like the trigger.
Uh-huh.
If I try to delete the trigger, it stops everything.
Yeah, because then it's like the same that I was explaining earlier that if, for example, I delete something, let's say that your laptop Enter Designer is trying to reach something, you gave him a path, like you explained to him, you have to go there, and then the thing is named like this. If you delete it, instead of understanding that the thing is not existing anymore, it will just cancel everything and make an error because machine are a bit stupid on this level and they cannot understand if you move something or if you rename it. So this is why there's like this naming aspect of the designer that starts to be important when you're having a network that is interconnected by different stuff, you know? So here you said that,
So
for
to
example,
resolve it is
huh?
a naming problem. So to solve it, for example, now I will have to change the.
When you're deleting something and that you go in the circle, like here, for example, if I delete, so this one is coming from here. If I delete this one, you just you go back on this one. The blue mode here, you see that when you're clicking on the plus here, there's different boxes here. And here we are in error because we are in expression mode, that is the blue box, because and then we are looking for this one that is not existing anymore. If you want to go back to normal mode, you just press on this one and then it appears again, and then it's like numbers that you can choose by yourself.
Okay, yes, I
Mhm.
see.
So
Okay, thank you.
yeah, no
I'm
problem.
also back.
Okay, let me check if my water is boiling. Yes. So we're having 15 minutes left. So we can either explore few other nodes inside of here, or we can just have a chat about whatever you want. But we can like there's a lot to explore, but yeah, it's really up to you on this level.
Mm, I would love to also like I really loved the psychedelic visuals you did today that I saw today. I
Mhm.
would love to know like did you use only like tops for that? Like what was your setup?
It will be for the second and the third courses for the visual aspect. Here
Okay.
let's stick to this one, but yeah, it's only I only used tops inside of it because as I said, I'm not into 3D and particles, and
Mhm.
then I get like hyper specialized into 2D systems, and yeah, I love like visual feedback, my favorite babies.
Mm, okay.
Visual
About
feedback
it.
is
Huh?
no, it's cool. Like how you say it, it was very cute.
Yeah, like it's maybe the thing in which I'm like so fascinated about it because once you get to know a bit more about how feedback systems are working and what's the typology of shapes that they're making, you understand that it's also deeply linked to how nature is behaving because the natural patterns of a visual feedback system is close to the shape of monocellular being, for example, but it's also close to how I don't know skies, like the patterns of skies with certain winds and so on. And once you're
Wow.
in it, it's like the whole world become a big touch designer system that God is playing with.
That's amazing because like touch designer everything is built on mathematics and physics,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Wow. So it's like basically the same. It's nature in other forms.
Yeah, and then like you reach this form of organicity inside of here, and once like you feel this level of being confident in touch designer, it's really like I'm having so many reflex of taking things, drag and dropping, doing this, typing expressions and so on. And someone said to me like, "Oh, in fact, you're even live coding within Touch Designer." And I was like, "I've never seen it from this perspective, but in fact, when I do VJ, I sometimes really go into those live coding phase, and things are getting so smooth and so organic. It's like you're creating your own world in which you're having those same consequences that you have a fully end on and so on. And yeah, it's really pleasant to feel, you know. It's
Yeah, it
this.
sounds like a spiritual digital world, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
Like it's all
definitely.
connected.
I had the same with Blender when I started to do 3D. Like once you start to being able to touch to physics, for example, having an object and control gravity, you start to feel like a god. You're like, wow, I can put wind, gravity, and so on. I'm the master.
That's amazing. Wait, so you do also a lot of Blender?
No, but like in my school, we had 3D courses just to have the basics of it. And
Uh-huh.
what I hated about 3D is that you really need a good machine to go deep into it. And yeah, after maybe I don't know, 3 or 4 months of practices, my machine was saying to me like, "It's too much for me. You cannot go further." And then I get really pissed off, and I went deep into 3D Designer because it was something that I could run easily on my machine, and that is not super greedy in terms of resources, for example. But yeah,
Yeah,
I've
I
made,
really understand that.
huh?
I'm also working with Blender,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, it's really not easy with the computer.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, there's this GLSL language that is so basically when you're doing a feedback system, for example, okay, we'll go just quick quickly in it, but here there is this node called Composite, and it's available in every visual software like Photoshop or Resolume, for example, and just a way to apply mathematical operations to pixels. So here, for example, if I go to this node and then I can display pixel values, here I'm on multiply mode, but here if I'm on add, I'm just adding a circle with another one, but I'm adding those circles all together, but I'm doing this operation of the globality of the pixel. And it's like then your laptop is doing a calculation for every pixel. So here we are on a resolution of 200 50 60. So you somehow repeat this operation as big as your resolution is, like let's say that it's the easy understanding of it. And GLSL is working somehow in another way. It will apply the operation to one pixel and then to the neighbor pixel again and again, to at the very end fill your wall resolution. So then instead of calculating everything at the same time at once, it will calculate it from time, like from step to step, and then it's really less greedy in terms of resources. Like this guy is working with GLSL, for example. There's I don't
it's only
remember.
coding, right?
Yeah,
GLSL.
it's only coding. This girl also is working with
Wow.
GLSL, and you can do yeah pretty nice
Wow.
3D object, but like you can run it on many machines because like it's really GPU friendly. And but for me
Wow.
it's really black magic. Like I've tried it once, and yeah, it's really hard. Like let's say that it's the same than Touch Designer, but you would just have code lines, and it's not even Python, it's another language. Yeah, look, ah, it's so good. And yeah, you can run it on every machine. Like it's so nice. But yeah, just another it's another typology of knowledges because Python. What's good with Python is that it's close to it's close to other type of language, and you can use it in Touch Designer, but also in a lot of other softwares, like even expressions and so on, for example. But GLSL is really made for shaders, and you can use it in different softwares, but not all the time. And sometimes it's things that you would have to program yourself. For example, you can work a bit with, I think you can work with GLSL in Blender, but you would have to make the bridge yourself to make it work. So it's like, yeah, it's kind of pretty different than just being able to work with Python that is that is having we have a lot of Python friendly software, for example, and GLSL is less. But it's still like once you know GLSL, you will have so much of a better understanding of 3D and so on, and you will be able to do so much more. And this is maybe why I'm not doing 3D at the moment, because I really want to learn GLSL. And yeah.
So that's the next step.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
I I know guys that are teaching GLSL, and I just need to have a bit of time for that, and I just wait to have a residency, because I cannot like spend 2 weeks in the void without getting paid or whatever just to learn a new um, a new skill that won't bring me anything at the beginning, you know?
Definitely.
Hmm.
Maybe it's
Yeah,
a good thing to do at your mom's house.
Yeah, but when I go back to my mom's house, it's always for working. It's never to have free time.
Mm, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Do you have maybe other questions on what we've seen? As I said, everything is already is recorded, and I will upload the course on TP, and also the resources about the artists that I did show, and yeah, a basic tutorial to show you like what I've done here. Like this guy called Electronaut that I showed you made a tutorial about the basic of Touch Designer. So I will give you resources and so on. You won't be lost normally.
Thank you.
thank
You're
you very
Thank
welcome.
much.
you very much for the course.
Yeah, pleasure.
And also, I want to say that if you want, maybe we can share the course on Instagram to like maybe other people. Because we ended up only 2 people.
Yeah, we started with five, and then we ended up with 2 people, but it's